In the previous video, we looked at how to add commands. In this video, we look at display rules. Display rules is used to make a button appear or not appear. It's based out of certain rules. Okay? So to add a display rule, just click on the plus sign next to display rules. Give a ID, a unique ID to identify this display rule. Just going to call this as update form. The reason will be clear later. Okay. So then what we need to do is just click on add step. Okay. So now there are so many different types of display rules which we can add. Okay. Based out of your requirement, you can choose the type of display rule. Okay. So let's start taking a look at each one of them. Command client type rule. So this rule will detect the type of presentation that is being used. Okay. So the different types which is there is modern, refresh and legacy. Okay. So modern is when the command bar is being presented in tabs, that is tablets. Okay. And then refresh is when it is being presented in the updated user interface, that is the unified interface. All this is the updated interface. Okay. So this is the unified interface. The next one is legacy. Legacy is the ribbon. If the ribbon is being presented in forms for entities that are not updated, or it's in a list view in Dynamics 365 for Outlook. Okay. So based out of based out of what type of presentation is being used, you can make the button appear or not. For example, if you want to make it appear only on the unified interface, then just choose refresh. Okay. So yeah. So what is default and invert result? Default is basically assigning a default value for the result of this rule. It can either be true or false. If you leave it blank, that means there is no value assigned to it. Okay. And then invert result. So invert result, as the name indicates, it will invert the result of of whatever your condition is. So for example, now if I set invert result to true, right, and if I have set the command client type rule to be refresh, okay, and if I publish this rule, then for this particular application, which is a unified interface, it will evaluate to true. Okay, but since we'll be inverting the result, it will be set to false and the button will not be appearing. Okay, so yeah, that is basically command client type rule. The next one is CRM client type rule. The CRM client type rule will allow definition of rules based out of the type of client being used. The options are web and Outlook. Okay. So yeah, if you're using it in web, then it will evaluate. I mean, if you set it to web, it will only be visible for when you're using the web application. Okay. Similarly, Outlook. The next one is CRM offline access state rule. Okay. Now, if we want to display a ribbon element based on whether Dynamics 365 for Microsoft Outlook with offline access is currently offline, then we can use this CRM offline access state rule. Okay. Then CRM Outlook client type rule. So if we want to display a button for specific type of Dynamics 365 for Outlook, then we can use this one. The options available are CRM for Outlook and CRM for Outlook offline access. Okay. The next one is a CRM Outlook client version rule. This will make a button appear or not based out of the version of Microsoft Office Outlook, whether it's 2003 or 2007 or 2010. Okay. And then entity privilege rule. So, as the name indicates, like it will determine as to whether a user has certain privileges to that entity. In this case, it will evaluate if the user has certain permissions to the account entity. Okay, like we can choose. We have to specify the entity name and then the privilege type and the privilege depth, etc. The next one is a entity property rule. So when you are actually creating an entity, like you would define certain properties for that entity. Okay, like for example, if the duplicate detection has been enabled, if the grid filters are enabled, has state code, mail merge enabled, etc. So based out of these properties, you can configure the rules. You can configure the display rules. Okay. The next one is a entity rule. Okay. So now let's say that you're adding a button for all the entities of the CRM organization, and you just want to leave out a couple of entities. That is, you don't want that button to not appear only for a couple of entities. Then you can use this entity rule. You can specify the entity name on which that button need not appear. The applies to attribute can be set to primary entity or selected entity. So this is used to distinguish whether the entity is being displayed in a subgrid. Okay. So yeah. The next one is the form entity context rule. This specifies a rule that can detect whether a form ribbon is displayed in the context of a specific entity. Okay. The next one is a form state rule. Now, you can use the form state rule to determine what type of form is being displayed on the record. Okay. So, the different options are create existing, read only, disable, bulk edit. As the name indicates, create is when you're actually creating a new record. Existing is when the record is already being created. Read only is when the form is in the read only status. Disabled is when the form is disabled. And then the bulk edit is when multiple records are selected to be edited. Okay. So I'm going to actually add a rule right now saying that only when it's on an update status, then display this particular button. Okay. So yeah, I'm actually adding this rule. Okay. All right. The next one is a form type rule. This specifies a rule that detects the type of Microsoft Dynamics 365 form. Okay. So the different options available are main, preview, appointment book, dashboard, quick create, etc. Based out of which form the ribbon is on, it will display or not display the particular button. Okay. And then hide for tablet experience rule. This will return false when the web application is viewed in a mobile browser on a tablet device. Okay. Then miscellaneous privilege rule. So miscellaneous privilege rule will check if certain privileges like all this is actually applicable to your entity or not. Okay. So that is miscellaneous privilege rule, based out of whether this privilege exists for the entity, that button will appear on the ribbon or it will not appear. The next one is the option set rule. Based out of certain options, the global option set values, you can make the button appear or not. Okay. The next one is the OR rule. Now, if you have more than one display rule and you want to like combine both of them and make sure that either one of them satisfy, then display the button, then you can use the OR rule. Okay. You can have more than two display rules, but yeah, 2 was just an example. Okay. The next one is the organization setting. Now, there are certain organization settings which is there, and if those organization settings are enabled, then the button will appear. Some of them are, some examples are is SharePoint enabled, is fiscal calendar defined, etc. Okay. The next one is the Outlook render type. Now you can use this to display a ribbon element if the ribbon is being displayed in Outlook in a specific way. Okay. So we need to choose the type, and the options available are Web and Outlook. The next one is the Outlook version rule. As the name indicates, based out of what version of Outlook you're using, you can make the button appear or not. Options available are 2003, 2007, 2010. Okay. The next one is a page rule. So you can use this page rule to check whether the URL of the page is being displayed. It returns true if the address matches. The next one is the relationship type rule. Now, this type of rule is applicable to records selected in a grid. It lets you determine the type of relationship, that is, if it's a one-to-many, many-to-many, or whether it's a no relationship. Okay. Next one is the skew rule. Now, you can use this to display a ribbon element for a specific skew version of Dynamics 365 for customer engagement. Okay. The options available are on-premise, online, and SPLA. And finally, we have the value rule. As the name indicates, value rule will check the value of a particular field on the form. Okay. So if it's equal to the value which you enter over here, it will make the button appear. If not, it will not appear on the form. So these are the different types of display rules. I have added only one display rule called the update form display rule, where it's just going to check the state of the form. Okay. So in the next video, we'll look at enable rule.